What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Bill, and in today's video we are going to do the install of the front suspension lift kit on the 93 Geo Tracker. In the last video, I'll put the link, I think it's this side, up there, a little card in the corner. If you want to see how we did the rear suspension was very quick and easy. The front suspension should be fairly easy on this car too. So it's just a matter of changing out the shock, that spring, and my spacer over there. So take the shock out, which is just these two bolts here, one bolt on top. I'll disconnect the steering link and the sway bar so this can droop a little bit further. Take the caliper off so it's out of our way. Then should be able to push this down like you did in the rear to get the spacer and the new spring in there. The spacer adds like 1.5 inches, or actually when I did the rear I said it was 3 inches. It's actually 2.5 inches. So the spacer adds 1.25 inches, and then the spring itself adds another 1.25 inches, so it's 2.5 inches total of lift. I do also have a body lift if needed. Don't think I'll need it with the wheels and tires we're going with, and I don't really want to do a body lift. Just the suspension lift should be good, and the body lift doesn't really do anything except for give it some more clearance for the tires, but it doesn't give us any more ground clearance when driving, so it's not a whole lot of good. But we'll see where we're at once we get this suspension lift in, and see what we want to do from there. But I have a feeling I'll just leave it as is without the body lift. But anyway, let me grab my tools and start tearing this apart and see what happens. All right, for the calipers, I just removed these two bolts here. So pull the caliper off so I can free up that brake line and just hook it over the sway bar like that. Now you just knock it on the side there. Bang on it enough it finally break free. Don't want to hit the top of the bolt, that's for sure, because they flatten that out, you never get the bolt back on there, or might not even get it through there. But yeah, just bang on the side, it'll eventually fall out. Let's do these two bolts here. The weather was so crappy, I didn't want to be out here anyway. Let's just think about the nice things, like how beautiful the weather is and how nicely these bolts are coming undone. Got one. I did soak them for a couple of days with some liquid wrench. I seem to have the best luck with liquid wrench over other brands. But now I actually have replacement bolts for the top hole to adjust the camber. So when you do the lift like here, it's going to make the top point out when you push everything down, so it makes the top point out. So I do have bolts to actually push the top in a little bit. So I don't necessarily need this bolt because I can use the one I just took out. That's good. Use that, and then when I put the camber bolt up here, so I might have to just cut this bolt off of there. Fun times. I tried to cut it down. I didn't quite get it perfect, so there's still a bit of the head of this bolt there. So got the wheel out, or the grinder out. Need to find a new fresh flap disc to put on there. Should be able to grind that out pretty quickly. But that's ground down. Let's see if this will just screw out. There we go. Beautiful. Yep, 19. All right, so just a couple bangs on top there. Drop this one out. Yeah, these are definitely better than the backward, but these are also pretty well shot. Fully extend both of them and see the size difference. There's not a whole, yeah, it's about that, what's that, 2 inches? 2 inches difference in completely maxed out. So it gives a little more room. Yeah, that thing's just sinking under its own weight. So that's how good that shock's been working. So yeah, the new shock's, it's a couple inches longer travel. Not a huge difference there, but definitely gonna work much better than the old worn out shock that is just no good. And well, be careful trying to loosen that, or you might just pop the whole thing out of socket. So, well, it's disconnected. I'm not sure how I'm gonna reconnect it. I might just remove the sway bar, see how it runs without it. And if it seems problematic, get new end links and get them installed. Otherwise, just run it without and see how it goes. But we got this pushed down. Let's see if we can't. And the spring's already pretty much on its way out. The back was easy enough to get. I broke my broom trying to use that as leverage to push this down to get the spring out. This is definitely a little bit tougher to get the spring out of, and I imagine it's going to be even that much harder to get the spring in. Just you don't have quite as much play with this lower control arm. Yeah, this would definitely be easier with the second person. I might have to get my son out here to help me to put some weight on here, push this lower control arm down some long enough to get that spring in there. But it's going to work just like the rear did. We'll have these spacers to go on, jam those in there, and then the new spring will sit in there like that. All right, so I got the spring in. Ended up having to pull the axle out. Like here on the front end, it's just got this washer and this pin, and it'll slide on right out here. Pulling that through allowed me to push this down a whole lot further than I was able to, and get that spring in there. So that's in there. Got this jacked up a little bit so it's got some tension. I'm going to throw the shock in, get this all lined up, then start tightening everything up. A little tough to get that going, but now that it's in there, put the hat on, lock washer, and the supplied bolt. Now, surprisingly, this is only supposed to be 20 foot-pounds tight. They're not cranked super tight down. And I do have the one good bolt still. I'm going to use that on the bottom here. I think we finally got it lined up. the bolt doesn't go all the way through. So if it's this way, it's pushing out, or like that, it's pushing in. So we could all right, so finally got this shotgun. I believe these are 60 foot-pounds. These are supposed to be torqued down to, so I can get those torqued, get this back in all the way, get these snap rings on, tie rod back on. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that now. Castle nut on, and actually put a cotter key in there because there wasn't a pin in that when I was taking it off. So get that on, get everything tightened down to run the brake line. All right, so ran out of day yesterday, but it's another beautiful day. So getting back to it, and got everything tied up. I mean, this is all pretty much wrapped up on this side. The only thing left to do is I'm going to have to put the hub on first. The hub to put on there. And these are not the original bolts. These were bolts that I found that were the same pitch and length and everything. Fortunately, these heads are a little bit big and stick out beyond the side. So once I get these tightened down and torqued down, I'm actually going to have to come through and grind them down a little bit so the new wheels will fit on there. And see how much of a lip there is. It's just barely any of a lip there, but it's just enough that with it going all the way around, it makes it just a hair too big to fit that wheel on. So I'm going to grind down the outside edges of these bolts so they actually match the size of the hub. Nicked the hub a couple of times, but I think that should work. I'm going to go get the wheel, try to get it on there and see what happens. As you see, I definitely had to put the hub on first, or the locking hub on there first. There's not a whole lot of room going around there, but grinding those bolts down just a bit seems to have done the trick. Wheel is on. Go ahead and let this side down, see what happens. All right, so now I'm really curious to see how that's going to sit when I get it off the jack stands. But I'm going to have to wait until I'm done with the other side to get a look at that. So yeah, I don't really need to record the other side. It just exact same thing that I just did on that side. I have to do on this side now. The only difference with doing the driver's side is having to remove the air box. It's just a bolt here and a bolt here in the front, I think. Yeah, so there's two bolts, and there's like a little rubber grommet and a peg that sticks in there to pull that off. At least this time I know, take the hub off first, pull those pin and pull the snap ring off of there so the hub, pull the snap ring off of there so that the axle can pull out a little bit to give me some more flexibility, and pushing that lower control arm down to get the spring in, and should go pretty smooth, I think. If I run into problems, I will let you guys know. This side is going together much quicker, much easier. Managed not to break the sway bar link on this side. Got the spring, got the spacer in. Everything is going much smoother. about to put the shock in, and I don't know, you might have noticed this earlier if you were paying attention to the other side. I screwed up on the other side. I didn't put this washer on top before putting the shock up there, so I don't know if you can see up there, but yeah, that's just waiting to push straight through there when I hit a bump. So I'm gonna have to lower that side back down far enough that I can push the top of the shock through to get that washer on there, if I have that washer. I'm sure I do somewhere. But yeah, totally forgot to put that on that side. So unless I feel like having that shock push through on a big bump or anything like that, I'm gonna have to take that side back apart just so I could put this washer on there. Fun times. But anyway, just an update on how things are going here. All right, we got it down on the ground. I think it's looking good. Got to see if we can actually turn the wheel or not, though. It's pretty close. And on the front, we got plenty of room. It is a little tight on that back side there. Let's take a look. That is a tight squeeze, but it works for now. We'll have to take it for a ride and see how it runs. Before I take it for a ride, I've got to undo the passenger side. I'm not happy about that. Did find the washer carrier, whatever you want to call the thing. The big old washer that should go on top of the shock to keep it from pushing through the whole grommet. I'm gonna have to replace that. So I think that's it for tonight. Stayed up for a while last night. Did get this other side taken care of. I was able to just jack up this side, undo the top bolt, and managed to squeeze that washer in there. So now that is nice and secure. I don't have to worry about pushing that shock through the shock tower, hopefully. It's sitting on the ground. I mean, this thing is nice and sturdy compared to how it was on the old shocks. I mean, this thing is definitely much stiffer than the old was. Let's see. I think before, or like what, 29 and a half, I think is what we were at. Now we're at what, 30, I'll call it 34. The top of the wheel arch. That's with the lift and with the come on, screw tape measure. But that is with the lift and the tire size difference. Brought that from 29 and a half to 34. On the back we are at just over 36. It's at 36 and a quarter. 36 and a quarter in the back, 34 in the front. It's going to be a tight fit for corners, but let's take it for a spin and see what happens. Just sitting in here is a huge difference. I mean, it is this suspension is very stiff. Love that beautiful sound. Now, yeah, this suspension is very stiff compared to how it was. I mean, just sitting in here, it didn't move before. If I sat in it, I mean, the whole thing, I'm not a light person, so let me put my seatbelt on here. Yeah, I am not a light person, and you know, when I sat in here with the ruined shocks, it definitely just rocked the whole thing. Getting in here now, it didn't even budge when I sat down on it. Let's see how this thing drives. I'll get full turn without it rubbing, at least so far. Oh, spoke too soon. There's a little bit of a rub there. A little harder to stop. Oh man. Now, right up here through this intersection, if I drove through here without slowing down, yeah, it felt like I was going to go sky high and the wheels would fall off if I went through there before. Definitely an improvement. Just trying to put the suspension to the test here a bit. And a little bit of rubbing at full turn there that time. Alright, so just a little tiny bit of mud. I didn't go play back there really because I didn't put it in four-wheel drive and didn't let anybody know where I was going, and realized I didn't have my phone on me, so almost got a little stuck just messing around. So it's like, yeah, I better not stay back here since I don't have my phone on me. But yeah, just out here now. Wanted to see how it was at speed. If I could get it up to speed. And we're just, it's probably really noisy in here, so I'll just pick this up in a minute or two. Back home. Nice little initial drive. Wore off most of the tire stickers, so that's all good. It handled really well. The difference between the suspension before, how loose it was, and well, you saw how the shocks were. It was completely useless pretty much to where they are now. It's very much stiffer, handles much better, feels a lot safer driving around in that thing. But yeah, it looks like it's going to rain. So I think I'm going to wait for that, grab my phone, and hopefully once it's done raining, I can ride back out to where I just was, where there was a little bit of mud. And there's going to be a whole lot of mud there. Where there was a little bit of mud along the sides of the road there. The whole place is going to be mud once it rains. So I can get out there, actually engage four-wheel drive, and make sure I have my phone on me before I get stuck out there, just in case. I do have the winch on here, but it's all just dirt and construction back there, so there's not much to attach a winch to unless there's somebody else out there with me. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down works as well. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.